The type of woman who destroys men isn't the dramatic, loud, and scandalous one. It's the silent one. The one who doesn't scream, doesn't break things, doesn't show aggression. That's precisely why she goes unnoticed. And that's exactly where the danger lies. If you've ever left a relationship confused, exhausted, not recognizing who you've become, you've probably crossed paths with this energy. And if you're watching this video right now, there's a strong chance you're experiencing this at this very moment, or you know someone who's trapped in this dynamic. So stay until the end, because I'm going to show you who this type of woman is from a Jungian perspective, how she operates through the unconscious, the shadow, and the anima, why you don't notice in time, and most importantly, how to protect yourself. And if this content resonates with you, hit that like button now, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because this knowledge can literally save years of your life. Let's start from the beginning. She doesn't arrive as a threat. She arrives as a solution. She seems sweet, kind, fragile, the good girl. She projects a deep sense of security and warmth. You look at her and think you've finally found someone different, someone who truly understands you. And you know why? Because she mirrors your tastes, your values, your dreams. It's as if she's your soulmate. She likes the same music, the same movies, dreams of the same kind of life. This isn't coincidence. It's an unconscious strategy. She uses calculated vulnerability. She tells you stories of pain, past traumas, toxic ex-relationships. And you, as a man of value, want to protect her, want to be different from the others? You feel special because she chose you to open her heart to. But here's the crucial point you need to understand. It's not necessarily conscious malice. These are wounds, insecurities, and unresolved traumas that become forms of control. Jung explains this through the concept of shadow and anima. The shadow is everything we repress, what we don't want to see in ourselves. The anima is the archetype of the feminine within man. When a woman doesn't integrate her own shadows, when the feminine within her is distorted, these repressed parts come out in twisted ways in relationships. And you, without realizing it, become the battleground for her unconscious. This is the invisible war that most men don't recognize until they're already casualties. They think they're building a relationship when they're actually being slowly dismantled, piece by piece, day by day. The genius of this dynamic is that it happens so gradually, so subtly, that you can't point to a single moment when everything changed. It's like being poisoned drop by drop, each dose too small to notice, but the cumulative effect is devastating. The initial phase is intense. Lots of affection, lots of attention, deep connection, the feeling that finally someone truly understands me. You've never felt so seen, so valued, so loved? The days are perfect. Conversations flow. The sex is incredible. Everything seems magical. But then the gradual change begins. The validation that was once unconditional now becomes conditional. Her mood becomes unpredictable. Closeness and distance happen suddenly and without clear explanation. Suddenly she's cold, distant. You ask what happened and she says it's nothing, but the atmosphere has completely changed. Days later she comes back affectionate as if nothing happened. And you're confused, trying to understand what you did wrong. The forms of manipulation are subtle: silence, calculated coldness, victimhood, light emotional blackmail. Phrases like "you don't care about me," "if you loved me, you would do this," "you always make me feel this way." She makes you feel responsible for her emotional state, and the effect on you is devastating. You start walking on eggshells. You doubt your own perceptions. You apologize for small things. You try not to cause problems. All your energy goes into managing her mood, predicting her reactions, avoiding her triggers. And Jung said a powerful phrase: the unconscious governs your life and you call it destiny. You think it's love, but it's a psychological pattern. You think you're fighting for the relationship, but you're losing yourself. What you don't realize is that you've entered what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement. It's the most powerful form of behavioral conditioning that exists. The unpredictability of her affection creates a dopamine response in your brain that's more addictive than consistent love could ever be. You're being trained like a laboratory animal. Except the laboratory is your relationship, and the experiment is how much of yourself you're willing to sacrifice. Now, before continuing, I need you to understand something. If this video is affecting you, if it's touching wounds, share it with that friend who's trapped in a relationship like this. Sometimes we can't see the pattern from inside, but when someone from outside points it out, everything becomes clear. And comment down below if you've experienced this. You don't need to give details, just say I've experienced it or I'm experiencing it. This will help other men realize they're not alone. Now let's dive deep into the archetype. This pattern I'm describing isn't about her as an individual. It's about an archetype, a universal pattern that Jung would call the feminine shadow. It's distorted feminine energy, a dangerous combination of seduction, victimhood, and emotional control. There are common masks this energy wears. The fragile seductress who mixes sensuality with victimhood. She's sexy, desirable, but also broken, hurt, and you're the only one who can save her. The wounded princess, the one nobody understands, who everyone has hurt, and you become the knight in shining armor who's going to fix everything. And the controlling queen, where everything needs to revolve around her, her needs, her feelings, and you exist only as a satellite in her orbit. How does this trap you? Through the alternation between intense affection and cold rejection. This alternation makes your brain addicted to the little bits of affection. It's the same mechanism as a casino. Unpredictable rewards create dependency. You're always trying to get back to the good phase of the relationship. Always believing that if you do a little more, if you're a little better, she go back to being like she was in the beginning. But here comes the turning point that will free you if you let it in. It's not just her fault. It's your shadow that responds. Your need for validation. Your savior ego. Your fear of being alone. Your unconscious belief that you need to suffer to deserve love. When you understand this, you stop being a victim and become responsible for your own liberation. Jung understood that we don't just attract random people into our lives. We attract what resonates with our unhealed wounds. If you have a savior complex, you'll attract women who need saving. If you have abandonment wounds, you'll attract women who threaten to leave. If you believe deep down that you're not enough, you'll attract women who constantly confirm that belief. This isn't the universe punishing you. It's the universe giving you exactly what you need to see to heal yourself. The question is whether you'll use the experience as a mirror for growth or keep repeating the pattern with different faces. Most men choose the latter because it's easier to blame her than to look at themselves. There are signs you usually rationalize. Her lack of emotional responsibility. Everything is always someone else's fault, the past, circumstances, never hers. Inconsistency between discourse and actions. She says one thing but does another. Says she trusts but invades your privacy. Says she wants peace but creates drama. Small disloyalties, little lies, constant testing of your boundaries. She tests to see how far you'll go, how far you'll give up yourself. And what happens if you stay in this dynamic? Deep mental and emotional exhaustion. You wake up tired even after sleeping. Growing low self-esteem. You who were confident now feel incompetent, inadequate, not enough. Your entire life revolves around not making her angry or sad. You abandon your goals, your friends, your hobbies, everything that made you be you. And here's the hardest point. The longer you stay, the more you lose identity, purpose, and self-respect. You look in the mirror and don't recognize who you've become. You've become a small, scared, controlled version of who you really are. Jung wrote extensively about what he called psychic vampirism, relationships where one person unconsciously drains the life force from another. This isn't metaphysical nonsense, it's psychological reality. When you're constantly managing someone else's emotions, constantly walking on eggshells, constantly suppressing your own needs and desires, your energy gets depleted. You're giving and giving without receiving, pouring from an empty cup until there's nothing left of you. And the most insidious part is that she frames your exhaustion as you not trying hard enough, not loving her enough, not being man enough. The very symptoms of being drained become evidence that you need to give more. Let me show you how she hijacks your mind invisibly. It's micromovements of conditioning, a look of disapproval, an icy tone of voice, strategic disappearances, dry responses after you've taken a stand, subtle reward when you adapt to her desires, emotional punishment when you set boundaries. The result? Your nervous system starts to associate pleasing her with safety and asserting yourself with danger. Your body learns that diverging from her means abandonment, rejection, suffering. So you start adapting automatically. Practical examples. You change your opinion to avoid discussion, even knowing you're right. You hide parts of yourself, your tastes, your friendships, so as not to provoke jealousy or insecurity in her. You abandon hobbies, friends, and personal goals to save the relationship. You lose the ability to say no. And this works exactly like addiction. The emotional highs and lows activate the same brain circuits as chemical dependency. You're stuck trying to get back to the good phase, always betting one more chip, always believing that this time it will be different. But it won't, because the pattern doesn't change if both don't change, and she won't change as long as her unconscious is in command. What's happening here is a phenomenon Jung called psychological projection. She projects her unintegrated shadow onto you, making you carry the emotional weight of her unresolved traumas. You become the container for everything she can't face in herself. Her rage, her pain, her insecurity, her shame, all of it gets transferred onto you. And because you're operating from your own wounds, your own need to be needed, you accept this role. You become the emotional dumping ground, thinking that if you just love her enough, if you just understand her enough, she'll heal and everything will be okay. But that's not how healing works. You can't heal someone else's wounds by absorbing them. All you do is wound yourself in the process. True healing only comes from within, from doing your own shadow work, from facing your own demons. And we arrive at the breaking point. That moment when the pain of staying is greater than the fear of leaving. This moment is different for each man, but when it comes, you feel it in your body. It's when you realize you're living in survival, not in love. The first step is to see the pattern, not the romance. You need to stop romanticizing emotional intensity. Intensity isn't depth. Chaos isn't passion. Drama isn't connection. Real love shouldn't feel like a roller coaster where you never know if you'll be embraced or rejected. Real love is peace. It's consistency. It's security. It's being able to be yourself without fear of emotional punishment. So how do you rescue yourself? First, reconnect with who you were before her. Go back to your hobbies. Call the friends you abandoned. Resume your goals. Go back to the gym, to training, to the routine that made you strong. Second, clearly name what happened. Don't minimize it. It was emotional abuse. It was manipulation. It was self-abandonment. Putting names on things takes away their power. Third, and most important, work on your own shadow. Ask the difficult questions. Why did I accept so little? What do I gain from being a savior? Why do I confuse chaos with love? What childhood wound is being activated here? These questions hurt, but they're the ones that liberate. Jung emphasized that the way out of any psychological trap begins with making the unconscious conscious. As long as you're operating on autopilot, driven by unconscious wounds and patterns, you'll keep repeating the same dynamics. But when you bring awareness to your patterns, when you see clearly why you do what you do, choice becomes possible. You can't change what you can't see. But once you see it, truly see it, you can't unsee it. And that awareness is the beginning of your freedom. The process of reclaiming yourself after this type of relationship is not quick or easy. You've been conditioned over months or years to doubt yourself, to prioritize her needs over yours, to see yourself through her critical eyes. Undoing that conditioning requires conscious, deliberate effort every single day. You'll have moments of weakness where you want to reach out, where you remember only the good times, where you convince yourself it wasn't that bad. This is your trauma bond talking, not your wisdom. The trauma bond is the psychological attachment formed through cycles of abuse and intermittent reinforcement. It's why victims return to their abusers. It's why you feel drawn back to someone who hurt you. Understanding this is crucial because it helps you recognize that the pull you feel isn't love, it's neurological conditioning that needs to be broken. And look, if you've made it this far, it means something inside you is ready to change. So I want you to do the following. Pause the video now and answer mentally or on paper. Which pattern from this video do you recognize in your life? Which shadow of yours is being activated? And most importantly, what are you going to do differently from now on? This honest reflection is the beginning of your liberation. And when you come back, we're going to talk about how to create new criteria for future relationships. Because there's no point leaving a toxic relationship if you're going to enter another one just like it. You need to change the criteria. And the new criteria are these. Peace is more important than intense emotion. If you constantly feel anxious, tense, afraid of making mistakes, it's not love, it's trauma. Coherence is more important than beautiful discourse. Look at what she does, not what she says. Are her actions consistent with her words? Does she take responsibility for mistakes or always blame others? Respect for your boundaries is more important than explosive chemistry. Can you say no without being emotionally punished? Can you have time alone without her making drama? Can you disagree with her without fear of abandonment? These are the indicators of a healthy relationship. And more, an integrated woman doesn't need you to be a savior. She walks beside you, not hanging on you. She has her own life, her own goals, can regulate herself emotionally. She doesn't use vulnerability as a weapon. She communicates directly, not through hints, silences, and emotional games. And especially, she encourages you to grow, doesn't diminish you to feel secure. These criteria might seem basic, but when you've been in a toxic dynamic, you forget what healthy even looks like. You normalize the abnormal. You accept the unacceptable. You call dysfunction love and convince yourself that all relationships require this level of suffering. They don't. A healthy relationship should add to your life, not subtract from it. It should make you more yourself, not less. It should energize you, not drain you. If you're constantly exhausted, constantly anxious, constantly questioning your own worth and sanity, that's not a relationship, that's a psychological prison. And the only person who can set you free is you? Jung spent his life studying the unconscious, and one of his biggest warnings was precisely about this. The dangerous woman isn't the screaming, crazy one everyone sees from afar. It's the one who fragments your mind in silence, in small pieces, day after day until you no longer know who you are. But, and this is the crucial point, she only has power over the man who is still disconnected from himself, over the man who hasn't integrated his own shadows, over the man who hasn't made peace with his wounds. Jung wasn't against women. He was in favor of consciousness. The enemy isn't the feminine. It's the unconscious. Hers and yours. When both are operating in the dark, shadow collides with shadow, wound with wound, and the result is destruction. But when you come back to yourself, when you integrate your own shadows, when you stop negotiating with chaos, something magical happens. This type of woman completely loses power over you. Because you no longer respond to the triggers. You no longer dance her dance. You no longer give up yourself for crumbs of affection. And this doesn't make you insensitive or closed off. It makes you sovereign. Sovereignty isn't hardness, it's clarity. It's knowing who you are and not negotiating that for anyone. It's being available for real love but unavailable for drama. It's recognizing manipulation at the first sign and having the courage to walk away. It's understanding that conscious solitude is infinitely better than toxic company. And when you reach this level of self-awareness, something interesting happens. You stop attracting this type of energy because your vibration has changed. Your frequency has changed. And women who operate this way feel that they won't be able to trap you. They feel that you're not fertile ground for emotional games. And they move on to another target. And this frees you to attract someone who is at the same level of consciousness as you. The concept Jung called individuaion is relevant here. It's the process of becoming whole, of integrating all parts of yourself, light and shadow, masculine and feminine. When you're on the path of individuaion, When you're doing the work to become psychologically whole, you naturally filter out people who would derail that process. Not through judgment or rejection, but through simple incompatibility. A person operating from their wounds can't tolerate someone operating from their wholeness. The light exposes their shadows, and instead of doing their own work, they move on to someone they can more easily control. This is actually a gift, though it doesn't feel like one. It's the universe's way of protecting your growth. Think about it like immune system development. When you've been exposed to a virus and recovered, your body develops antibodies. The next time the virus tries to infect you, your system recognizes it immediately and neutralizes it before it can take hold. The same happens psychologically when you've done the work to heal from a toxic dynamic. Your psychological immune system becomes stronger. You recognize the patterns earlier. You feel the manipulation in your body before your mind can rationalize it away. You trust your instincts instead of overriding them with wishful thinking. This is what Jung meant by making the unconscious conscious. It's not just intellectual understanding, it's embodied wisdom that lives in your nervous system, protecting you automatically. You don't have to think about walking away from red flags anymore. Your body does it for you because it remembers the pain and refuses to repeat it. This is evolution, this is growth, this is true learning from experience. Now, I want you to reflect on a past relationship in light of everything we've discussed. Look back honestly. How many signs did you ignore? How many times did your instinct scream and you silenced it because you wanted to believe the illusion? How many times did you betray yourself to keep the peace? This reflection isn't to make you feel guilt. It's to make you learn. It's to make you integrate this experience as wisdom, not as trauma. Jung said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So make it conscious. Look at the pattern. Understand your role in it, and choose differently next time. Every painful experience contains the seeds of wisdom if you're willing to extract them. The man who leaves a toxic relationship bitter and closed off has learned nothing. He'll either repeat the pattern or swing to the opposite extreme, becoming emotionally unavailable and cynical. Neither path leads to wholeness. The man who leaves a toxic relationship with hard-won wisdom, who understands his role in the dynamic, who's done the shadow work to heal his wounds, that man is transformed. He doesn't repeat the pattern because he's no longer the man who enters that pattern. He's evolved beyond it. And if you have a friend who's experiencing this now, share this video with him. Not as criticism, but as possibility. Sometimes we need to hear from outside to be able to see from inside. And if this content made sense to you, leave your like. It helps the algorithm take this message to more men who need to hear it. Subscribe to the channel because I'll continue bringing deep content about Jung, shadow, relationships, and conscious masculinity. And turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. Comment down below what was your biggest insight from this video. Which pattern you recognized in yourself? I read all the comments, and this creates a community of men who are on the path of consciousness, not survival. The journey back to yourself isn't easy, but it's the only one worth taking. Because in the end, nobody can save you. Not her, not me, not anyone. Only you can do that for yourself. And when you do, when you rescue your sovereignty, your clarity, your purpose, everything changes. You stop living in reaction to others and start living from your center. You stop seeking completion in another and discover you are always whole. You stop confusing intensity with depth and learn to value peace. You stop accepting crumbs and start demanding the feast. This is the transformation that's available to you right now, in this moment, if you're willing to do the work. Not the easy work of blaming her, but the hard work of healing yourself. Not the comfortable work of staying in familiar patterns, but the challenging work of breaking them. Not the passive work of waiting for someone to save you, but the active work of saving yourself. Jung's final message about relationships was this: the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. The question is whether that transformation will destroy you or evolve you. With the wrong person, someone operating from their wounds, the transformation is destructive. With the right person, someone doing their own work, the transformation is evolutionary. But first, you must become the right person yourself. You must do your work. You must integrate your shadows. You must heal your wounds. Only then can you attract and recognize someone at your level. Only then can you build something real, something healthy, something that adds to both your lives instead of subtracting. This is the path forward. This is your way home to yourself. See you in the next video.